Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. It's Brother Riot. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach wa Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body a living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Right, Salaki, bear with me. Right? Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, doing everything they could do to magnify the name of the Lord and put themselves in a position to shake the hand and wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf and this thing that are actually reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all the Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but they're building themselves up, being shamefaced, submissive, magnifying the Lord in the ministry. Last but not least, another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, again, another strong shalom to the whole entire nation that are on fire in the last days, magnifying the name of the Lord, doing everything they can do to be on fire in this thing. Now, there's going to be a breakdown on can you survive the wilderness, right? When Jacob's trouble kicks off and all hell break loose, and Esau is a wild man, and he's jumping out of trees, he's pushing things down, he has the choppers out, the M16s, so-called AK-47s, the tanks, the missiles, the drones, infrared goggles, and all manner of wickedness, man, to seek you out. Are you going to be able to survive? Because these days coming to pass aren't going to be the days that we're living in now. You sitting up here now, you barely could read, you barely could fast, you barely could pray, your mind's not right, your mind's on the things of this world, it's not of the Lord. These days are going to come upon you like a thief in the night, man. And when the Lord speak about a thief in the night, don't think it's just talking about when he comes. He could visit you like a thief in the night and blow your candlestick out. Visit you like a thief in the night and have all hell break loose in martial law, man. He could visit you like a thief in the night and destroy you and kill you. So you never know, essentially, what's going to come to pass, man. You got to be always ready and always watching, man. These days coming to pass are not going to be days to where brothers are going to be able to easily survive this thing, right? I want to kick it off with a precept, right? Let me get this quick Let me share my screen. See if I can share my screen. Bear with me. Salaki, bear with me. Khan. Say Khan if you can see my screen. All right, let me know if you can see my screen. Say Khan if brothers can see my screen. Well, I want to kick it off with 1 Samuel. All right, give me a Khan if brothers can see my screen. Okay, Khan, all praise to the Most High. All right, let's dive straight into it. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. Right, because as brothers is going into, man, I mean, these days coming to pass aren't going to be days where you're going to be able to do the things that you do right now, man. We're living in the days where right before all hell breaks loose. These are very exciting times, man. You got to be on fire and on the edge of your seat. Now, when Esau comes to attack you and to destroy you and seek you out, don't think he's just going to come to your mom's house, man. This isn't a movie. He's just knocking on your mom's door. Have you seen Davis? Have you seen John? Have you seen Ricky? Right? It's not going to happen like that, man. They have your name on a bulletin board. They know where you stay. They know all your closest relatives. They know your friends, your associates, where you work, what kind of job you have, what kind of car you possess, man. And how many damn miles are on it. You think the so-called white man doesn't know you, man? He knows everything about you. He even knows what you like doing for fun. He knows what has you to go off. Don't think there aren't secret cameras and satellites everywhere you go, man. Even when you go outside, you understand, to your car, you can go on Google Maps and see you sticking in the damn key, man, or popping that damn button, man, getting open in the car. And even when you buy a car, the so-called white man has a tracking device on it. So if you don't pay his so-called money to the dealership, what's going to happen? He's going to search you and find you in that car that's not fully yours. He's going to pull up on you with the repo, man. He's going to pop that thing, and next thing you know, your car is getting rigged up, man. So if all of these could happen on carnal everyday life in society, without vengeance on the earth, without tanks, without missiles, and without them actually having a manhunt for the Israelites and the Hebrews, what do you think is going to happen in those days, man? Let me get the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 23. And I want to start, right, at verse 21. I'm going to start at verse 22. 1 Samuel, chapter 23, and verse number 22, and it reads, it says, "Go, I pray you, prepare yet and know and see his place where he haunt is, and who have sent me there. For it is told me that he dealeth very subtly." So when Saul was seeking out David, Saul understood that David was very subtle, meaning he knew how to hide. He knew how to take advantage of the forest, of the wilderness, of the lurking places. He knew how to hide himself. So our forefathers wasn't just men that knew how to bear a buckler and a sword. They also were wise in subtlety and knowing how to hide themselves. Hey, hiding yourself is very important sometimes. I mean, tell that to the animals. Hey, they hide themselves. It's called camouflage. The Lord said you could learn a lot from the beasts of the field, man. Let me get that in the book of Job. So why did the Most High make certain animals with camouflage? These things are deep. They aren't just hanging around with camouflages for no apparent reason, man. These things happen for a specific reason, to hide themselves, to be able to zero in on their prey and take them down, to be able to lurk right beside you. You have certain snakes, chameleons, octopuses, and various other creatures and birds that blend right into their habitation, man. It's the book of Job, chapter 12, and verse number 7. It said, "But ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee." So the beast can teach you things. When it's a volcano, when it's a world storm, when it's a tsunami, when it's about the rain, these beasts, they'll speak to you, man. They'll let you know when somebody's at your front door. You understand, when somebody's so-called 10 feet away and your back is turned and you can't even hear them because you got your headphones in. But these beasts will let you know certain events and things that happen on the earth. And another thing they can show you is tactics of hiding, tactics of war. You have to pick up everything, just like an ant. An ant's always working. Let me get a quick picture, man. Right? Let me get a quick picture. Camouflage. Salaki. Get a snake in camouflage. Now, this is a snake in camouflage. Now, you can't even see where these snakes are really when you go into it. Let me see if I can zero it in a little bit more so brothers can see. Check this out. Look at this snake right here. You can't even see him. And he's just chilling. He's in a cut. He's hiding himself. This snake blend right in perfectly with the rocks. Another snake, I can't even see him on a tree. In the grass, in the dust, in the dirt, in certain pathways, because they're very crafty and cunning, man. So, I mean, a snake is very crafty and cunning, you know, on the left-hand side. But also, you understand, you got certain creatures, they blend into their surroundings. So when David was in a lurking places using subtlety, he used much more than war sometimes. He used his mind. And that's a very big part of surviving in common sense. A lot of people don't have common sense, man. You ask a brother what is he going to do in those days, he's going to load up himself like Rambo and go to town, man, and just start firing off. It's going to be the first man died, the first man killed. first man hung or the first man destroyed. You got to know how to move in those days, man. Verse 23. See therefore and take knowledge of all the lurking places. So when Saul was coming for David, Saul didn't come to the various places where he knew he would be. He didn't come here and come there and come there. Esau knows you, man. He knows what you're doing and where you are. That's of the Lord now to lead us in those days, to create our paths. And for us to know with the common sense and the understanding that the Lord gave us through the elements of the land, you understand where's the east at, when the sun is going down, what season we in, and how and which way we should go through the North Star and certain things like that. We should be able to navigate throughout the earth. See therefore and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hideth himself, and come ye again to me with a certainty. And I will go with you, and it shall come to pass, if he be in the land, that I will search him out throughout all the inhabitants of Judah. So Saul said he was going to search David out, no matter how long it took, man. He would search him out over thousands of men. And you think Esau is not going to search you out, man? Esau doesn't care about Moab and the cut at the damn mama pop store. And Esau isn't worried about a damn JJ with a bottle in his hand at the liquor store, man. He has nothing to hide for. He's coming for you. And he knows exactly where you're going to be, man. And if he can't find you, just know you're going to be a pilgrim on the earth, and he's going to hunt you, man. We're going to be hunted in this thing. And this isn't something to scare brothers and, well, we're going to be hunted. I don't know about that. Is this really going to happen? Yes, brother, these days are going to happen, man. It's literally going to come to pass where you're a pilgrim on the earth. This is the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 16, and verse 40. It says, O my people, hear my word, make ye ready to the battle. So it's a battle in this thing, man. Good against evil. Jacob against Esau. Righteousness against what? Unrighteousness. And you're literally going to be in a battle in those days. And what do you got to prepare yourself with? The sword, which is the word, helmet of salvation, your sword, your buckler, things that you should have been accumulating through the spirit of a mighty man on the earth while the Most High gave you the grace. And in those days, so like in those evils, be as pilgrims upon the earth. So what is a pilgrim, man? Let's go into it. Brothers may not know. Let's go into it. It's the definition of a pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
Right? So a pilgrim is a traveler, a crusader. So you're going to be traveling in this thing. And what does it mean to be a pilgrim? One who journeys in foreign lands. So if you're from so-called Atlanta, if you're from so-called LA region, if you're from so-called Wisconsin, New York City, Florida, New England, Rhode Island, wherever you derive at, you're going to be a pilgrim in those days, and you're going to sojourn. And you're going to sojourn from this coast to this coast and this coast, man. Hey, Moses even said he was a stranger in a strange land in Exodus, the 2nd chapter, verse 22 all the way down, man. Hey, Jacob was a pilgrim. All of our forefathers were pilgrims, man. You have to understand these things. Let me get this quick precept. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. So our forefathers, we were strangers and sojourners, meaning we're a people where we're always on the move. We're always on the move. Name a time where the so-called black man hasn't been in the move, man. It literally, when you read the book of Numbers, the 33rd chapter, I mean, you'll get dizzy, man. You got to be in the spirit to read Numbers chapter 33. Let's read Numbers chapter 33 real fast. Not the whole thing. But I want to get this quick point. These are the journeys, right, of the children of Israel. It said these are the journeys. And you go all the way down to 56, man. And just reading about journeying. Going from this wilderness of sin, going to this wilderness, Elim, going to Sinai, going into Succoth, going into Zin, going into all of these different regions of Ramses and all of these different places where our forefathers journeyed, man. Pitching a tent, on the move. Pitching a tent, on the move. These days are coming back on the earth, man. You're going to literally tap in to your roots and what you did a damn 3,000 years ago, man. 4,000 years ago. It says, which went forth out of the land of Egypt with their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron. And Moses wrote their goings out according to the journeys by the commandment of the Lord. And these are the journeys according to their going out. And we're not going to read all of the journeys, but nevertheless, the Lord led us the whole entire way. That's what's spiritual about. Yahweh Shah led us, man. Our king. Let me get the book of Exodus real fast, chapter 40. And then I'm about to dive into it. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 40 and verse 34. And it reads, then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation because the cloud abode therein, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in their journeys. So who led us in the ancient world? Yahweh Shah. You think the Lord's not going to lead us in the days to come when all hell starts breaking loose? When you don't know your left hand from your right hand? When you got split up from your wife and you can't stay warm because you have no cover now? Now you have to physically go kill and wrap yourself like Northern Kingdom, man, like Gad and Reuben, like they did, you understand, thousands of years ago, on horseback, on a mule, or have a dog, just like you. I mean, this thing gonna get deep. It's gonna get rough. You may not have an animal to help you hunt, man. You may not have a bow and an arrow, a machete, or a knife. You may just have your hands, and all you have is a willing mind to have faith to the Lord, man. But the Lord's gonna lead you if you have faith. Let me read that again. The children of Israel went onward in their journeys, right? And let's dive into it. Now, as you're a pilgrim on the earth, what are some of the things that what's going to be happening to you, man? How are you going to be living? What are your circumstance and your conditions and the elements of what you did, man? Let me get 1 Samuel chapter 14. And I'm going to put this disclaimer out there because a lot of people, I just have to say, I got to be honest, man. You never been through anything. You getting jumped when you was 14 years old. That's not going through anything, man. You being shot at when you was in the world. That's not going through anything, man. You losing your job and almost being put out in the streets. That's not going through anything, man. Our forefathers actually died. You understand? Gave up the ghost for the Lord. Our forefathers were actually pilgrims. Tobit was blind for 8 years. Matthew, he got stabbed and slushed through, man. Mark, with 2 horses, ripped asunder. Isaiah saw it in half, man. These are things and accounts our forefathers actually been through. Jeremiah was in a dungeon. Ezekiel, you understand, going into captivity, being blameless, and his wife dying right before his eyes. These are certain things our forefathers actually went through. So when you actually enter into these days, then you're going to be able to say, everything I once had, it was great. Brother, you got a pillow. You could cut your heat on right now. You could cut your AC on. You can go get some ice cream at the so-called store. You could take your wife on a date. Right? What are your problems right now? I'm running out of gas. The white man keep calling me. I'm running low on bills. Brother, you sound bougie, man. Hey, Jacob slept on a rock, man. Our forefathers were different. Let me get this quick precept, man. Hey, our forefathers were hard men, man. And they got down in the elements. Right now, you see so-called your grandfather, your uncle, he's working on a car. Oh, that's such a man. Or somebody chopping blocks and chopping down so-called wood. And, oh, he's such a man. No, that was average in the ancient world, man. It's the book of Genesis chapter 28, right? And I'm going to start at verse 18. And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on the top of it, man. So Jacob slept on a rock. That's how hard these men were, man. Let me get this quick precept in the book of 2 Kings. Just to give you a brief synopsis of how hard our forefathers was, man. They were actual men. Now everybody want to be clean shaven. Oh, I don't have my oil. My skin's breaking out. Right? This is the book of 2 Kings, right? Chapter 1 and verse number 8. And they answered him. He was Salakia. I'm going to start at 7. This is talking about Elijah the prophet. This is the book of 2 Kings 1 and verse 7. Right? It says, and he said unto them, what manner of man was he which came up to meet you? Meaning, what kind of man is this, man? Is he a soft man? Is he a hard man? Is he a warrior? What kind of man is this that came to you and told you these words? And they answered him, he was an hairy man and girt with a girt of leather about his loins. And he said, it is Elijah the Tishbite, man. So Elijah wasn't your so-called Gillette commercial. He wasn't your so-called Black American in the Tyler Perry movies with all of the fresh things and the manicures. And they didn't move in these spirits, man. They were hairy men, man. Put oil on the beard, girt with the sword like Peter, man. Up for war, ready for all terrains and seasons, man. Right? Let me get the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 14. So in these conditions in the ancient world, I mean, things were different, man. Now throughout time and captivity and, everyday life in the society has shaped the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man in a state of being sweet, man, and soft. Not to where we used to be and what we used to act. It's the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 14. I'm gonna start at about 20. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get straight to the point. 21. Moreover, the Hebrews that were with the Philistines before that time, which went up with them, came into the camp from the country round about. Even they also turned to be with the Israelites that were in Saul and Jonathan, that were with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise, all the men of the Salaki. Is this what I want? Yeah, I could read that. Salaki, bear with me. I'm gonna start at 14. Well, I'm gonna start at 14. Yeah, I'm gonna start at 14. It says, and that first slaughter with Jonathan and his armor bearer made was about 20 men. Within were a half an acre of land, which a yoke of oxen might plow. And there was trembling in the host in the field among all the people and the garrisons and the spoilers, and they trembled in the earthquake. So it was a very great trembling. So when all hell was breaking loose and the men of the Lord went to war, it was trouble in the camp, man. And everybody was getting slew. Now, when you jump to verse number 10, it says, but if they say, thus come up unto us, then we will go up. For the Lord have delivered them into our hand, and this shall be a sign unto us. So when we went to war, this is an account of the conditions of war that we were in. And both them discovered themselves unto the garrison. And the Philistines and Salaki, and the Philistines said, behold, the Hebrews come forth out of the holes where they had hid themselves. So there you go again, man. What did we do in the ancient world? We used to hide. And where did we used to hide? In holes, in rocks, in caves, in swamps, in rivers. Hey, we got down in this thing. Now you don't want to get your white tee wet. I don't want to get my white tee wet. I don't want to stain on it. Now you don't want to touch your damn Jordans, man, and don't get the crease in it. So you walking like Einstein, man. Man, now everything is so commercialized and sweet. It's okay to get dirty, man. Right? Yeah, you wash off. You take care of yourself. You anoint yourself with oil. Right? You smell good. But I mean, at the end of the day, you on war, you on war. When you in the wilderness, you in the wilderness. A lot of people, they got blow up beds for the Feast of Tabernacles. Just blowing up their damn bed. And, right? They got portable TVs. And they got damn this and that. And you might as well have a fireplace in there, man. Right? And God knows what else. Our forefathers, they slept on the ground, man. They literally used rocks as pillows. They was in swamps and holes. So the condition of the wilderness to them was literally something that they could manage. We were literally in the wilderness for 40 years, man. With tents. We knew how to build these things and sojourn and survive. Your survival skills have to be up to par, at least somewhat, man. You can't just say I have all faith and no damn works. Just praying to the Lord to start a fire. It's a million sticks around you and a lighter in your pocket. Oh, just please. Right? Praying that the Lord you just throw a rock in the mid-air and then the rock is just going to somehow just fall down and hit a deer on top of the head for you to eat, man. No, the Lord set up certain things and avenues like videos, precepts, survival understanding, and footage for you to app yourselves in more ways than one. You can't just know the 7 heads and 10 horns, but have no common knowledge on how to survive. right? That's literally like the Lord said, the children of this world are wiser in their generation than the children of the light. Why? Because they know how to move in certain situations. When a lot of the children of the light, they're over righteous and foolish. It says, and the men of the garrison answered Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, come up unto us, and we will shew you a thing. And Jonathan said unto his armor bearer, come up after me, for the Lord hath delivered them into your hands. So we see in the scriptures over and over that what? We lived in these certain conditions and we sojourned. Now, how do you survive in the wilderness? You may ask yourself, well, what do I do? How do I move? What shall I do according to the precepts? What common knowledge, you understand, should I have? Blah, blah, X, Y, Z that we got to go into. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. Let's see what our forefathers did. The 9th chapter. This 2nd Esdras chapter 9, and I'm going to start right at verse 23. Nevertheless, if thou wilt cease yet 7 days more, but thou shalt not fast in them. So, Ezra has to go into this field, directed by the Most High. And let's see the conditions of this field and him being there. But goeth into a field of flowers, where no house is builded, and eat only the flowers of the field. 80%, if not 90%, of you surviving in the wilderness is going to be vegetation. It's going to be flowers. It's going to be berries. It's going to be a lot of the things that you may not even know that you can eat, that you see every day. And that's what we're going to dive into. You may walk past certain things or push through bushes and track through a safari and not even know a lot of that stuff in there. You have to know what it is, because a lot of it's poisonous. Some of it's not poisonous. Some of it you can eat. A lot of flowers you look at, you can eat. They're edible. They're not going to destroy your stomach. They're not going to make you throw up or make you feel dizzy or make you feel like you're eating grass like an oxen, man. There are a lot of things that you can eat that's right in front of your face, right? But you have to have the common knowledge. You can literally be sitting there. You haven't eaten in 4 days. It's all that is clean flowers or certain things that you can eat, but I can't eat grass. I'll throw up. I can't eat this. I may not make it. Taste no flesh, drink no wine, but eat flowers only. Right? He said, but eat flowers only. Let's go to the book. Right? Matter of fact, I'm going to keep reading. And pray unto the highest continually. Then will I come and talk with thee. So I went in the way into the field, which is called Adarth, like he commanded me. And there I sat among the flowers and ate of the herbs of the field. And the meat of the same satisfied. It said it satisfied Ezra, man. It didn't say it was just something that he ate and he almost earled and he was sitting up there trying to keep his eyes open. No, he said what? It satisfied him. A lot of these things the Most High created, they actually taste good, man. And we're going to dive into these things, man. Before we get that, let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 18. Right? Isaiah chapter 18. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 18, right? And verse number 4. For so the Lord said unto me, I will take my rest, and I will consider my dwelling place, like the seer heat upon herbs, and like the cloud of dew of the heat of harvest. And afore the harvest, when the bud is perfect. You have certain buds that grow into perfection. And that bud could be a flower. It could be a fruit. That bud could be a vegetable. These certain buds and certain things you can eat as well. And sour grape is ripened in the flower. He has supposed cut off the sprigs and the punch hooks and taketh away and cut down the branches. So, you literally see all throughout the scriptures, there's certain things that you can eat that are of the grass and the herb of the field. Now, you don't want to just see herb and grass and, well, I don't know how many of them. What could I eat of them? We're going to dive into it real fast. Right? Say Khan if you could see my screen. Right? It's edible plants. 7 plants you can actually eat in the wild. So the first plant, you got a dandelion, man. You can eat a dandelion. It's not just a weed in your backyard, man. You're tracking through the wild and you don't know what to eat. Rather eat a dandelion. It says no as a ubiquitous weed worldwide. Dandelion has been a staple part of many food cultures. Check that out, man. And you may not even know you can eat a dandelion. You may just look at it, oh man, I gotta go to grandma's house and mow her grass. And grandma calling you 5 times in a row. Baby, get these weeds out of my yard. You sick of those dandelions. You hate them. Every single time you go over your grandmother's house, you gotta mow through those damn dandelions, man. And in actuality, man, you could take those things, rinse them off, and eat them for a millennium. As for parts of the plant at every stage of its life cycle are edible. Dandelion is rich in vitamin A, B, and C. Check that out, man. So you have certain people, they go to your so-called Walgreens, your CVS's, they go to these different places, and they're knocking people out the way, trying to get the aisle 7, man, so they could buy all of the pills. Vitamin A, vitamin C, man, once a day, man. They didn't have that in the ancient world. You know what they had? They had the root, the source, the herb. They had the sun physically hitting their skin. They had physical clean waters of springs and brooks. Things were more authentic and natural in the ancient world. It contains high levels of magnesium and iron. So in actuality, they're extremely healthy, man. Right? Now you got asparagus, asparagus. So if you ever see these in the wild, you can eat these as well. They look like mint. You might just walk right over them and say, well, I don't know. That looks like poison ivy. No, getting your eyes sharpened in certain things on a physical level can help you also. Now, I'm not going to read all of these verse, but you got asparagus, right? You got nettle, garlic mustard, and you got elderberry. A lot of people know about elderberry. You know, they'll get the gummies or they get the elderberry syrup when they feeling sick or when they want to boost in some natural so-called remedies and things like that. But in actuality, I mean, elderberries grow in the wild. You can't be skeptical and say, well, I don't know, it looks poisonous. I don't know if I should be eating these things. I don't know if I'll survive. Let's go to 2 Maccabees. Let me get this quick precept. Chapter 5. So our forefathers, they were wiser in just the dark parables. They knew how to survive in the wilderness, which in actuality, you know, a lot of these in-depth dark secrets and breakdowns aren't going to help you in those days. It's the book of 2 Maccabees 5 and verse 27. Right? Let's get straight to the point. It says, but Judas Maccabeus with 9 others that thereabout withdrew themselves into the wilderness and lived in the mountains after the manner of beasts, with his company who fed on herbs continually. So Judas Maccabeus, what did he do? He fed on herbs. And he had to identify in the wild, in the wilderness, which herbs that he could eat. He didn't just look for beasts all day, man. Don't just think venison is going to be just treading down your path every 3 days. And you're just going to have some like a slingshot that never gets worn out and an innumerable amount of rocks, an innumerable amount of aim. And you'll just knock out all, you'll just eat diversified of roe bucks and venison every night, man. It may not happen to you like that. You treading in a forest may scare a lot of clean animals away. Let's be realistic. You being angry, calling upon the name of the Lord and Lord, Lord. All of the birds, clean birds, they done fled away. All hell done broke loose. A lot of the insects that you can eat, you understand, in the law that the Lord said you can, they know where to be found. He just sitting up there treading on all of this food that you didn't even know you can eat. It says, lest they should be partakers of the pollution. And the pollution of what? All of the unclean foods. So they're not partakers of their witchcraft and pollutions. What are they partakers in? The herbs that the Most High created, man. Now you got elderberry, which is what? High in vitamin C, antibiotics, and flavonoids, and powerful medicine properties. So you may be in the wilderness, man, and get a cut, a burn. You may not know what to do. You sitting up there, your back hurt, or you're cold that night and you sniffing. You eat these things and it'll guide you. It'll put strength in you. You got wild raspberry. You got wild raspberries. You got curdle duck, right? So these are certain things you can eat in the wild. Now I'm gonna go to another one. Now, survive in the wild, 19 common edible plants. Now, you got plants to avoid too, right? We're going to get into those. But for the first one, Amenanatha, Salakia for the pronunciation. So, something that looks like something else. Native Americans, but found on most continents. Check that out. So this plant is found on most continents. It's an edible, right? Blank, blank. Eat parts of the plant. It says, on the look spines appears somewhat of the leaves. Now, this is life or death situation. Just got to put that out there. Eat, reading on. You got asparagus, where you can eat these as well, man. Now, I read these are in open fields. The vegetable that makes you blink, smell funny, grows in the wild in most of Europe and parts of North Africa, West Asia, and North America. So these things are going to be, you understand, in North America too. Wild asparagus, as much thinner stock in the grocery store variety. It is a great source of vitamin C, thymidine, potassium, and vitamin B and 6. Eat it raw or boil it like you would asparagus at home. So you can eat it raw. You can eat these things raw, man. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Ruth, chapter 2 and verse 2. Let me get this quick precept. It's the book of Ruth, chapter 2 and verse number 2. And it reads, and Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, let me now go into the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. She got wild stalks of corn. You got wild herbs, vegetation, berries, all manner of things that are going to be in the wild for you, man. And the Most High may give the increase in the last days to grow these wild things, man. To run into a cornfield. I mean, the Native Americans survived on the land. You have certain Benjamites, right? And so-called the West Indies, they survive off their land. Under sowing seeds, right? Being a husbandman, and just off their land, they survive. And that's deep, man. Your whole land could take care of you through the hand of the Most High. Let's go to the book of Genesis, the classic, chapter 1 and verse 29. And it reads, it says, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, which is in the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So meat's going to be for what? The herb, man. Herbs are going to be meat in those days. Don't think, like I said, you're going to be eating all of this diverse of cattle, man, and oxen, and all manner of things you used to right now. And you just bougie. I don't know what I should have tonight. I had lamb last night. What do you say, honey? Right? And you got all this in the freezer. You got chicken, you got turkey, you got lamb. You got all of these different things, man. And that luxury is going to be done away with, man. Let's go to the book. Let me see. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 13. And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Meaning, if you keep the commandments, I will give you the rain of your land in due season. Meaning what? All of the herbs are going to grow up for us to eat, right? The first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather thy corn and thy wine and thy oil, man. So all of the olives, the wine, all of these different things, man, the Lord is going to give that. You're going to have wild olives in it. And I will send grass in thy field for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Check that out. So the Lord is going to increase the fruit on the earth. And I will send grass in thy field for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And that's spiritual, man. Because even in the Lord said he'll yield forth your ground. He'll feed you. He'll give you herbs, plants. He'll give you vegetables. He'll give you fruits if you do what? If you serve him and don't turn aside. The Lord is not a man that he shall lie, nor the son of man. You understand? He should be waiting. You're not going back and forth. The Most High is going to do those same things on the earth for you if you remain with integrity and keeping the commandments. And then the Lord's wrath be kindled against you, and he shall shut up the heaven, that there be no rain, and that the land yield no, so I can not of her fruit, lest you perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord giveth you. Check that out, man. So if you going to hell off, being evil, not doing the work of the Lord, you understand, and turning aside, the Lord has shut up that land. This is another plant you can eat. Burdock. Burdock, right? Now, this may look like a strange weed or a plant, and I don't know if I can eat that. But in those days, you're going to have to be well aware of what you can eat and what you can't eat. It says medium to large plant with big leaves and purplish thistles like flowers. This plant is native to the temperature areas of the Eastern Hemisphere. However, it has been naturalized in parts of the Western Hemisphere as well. So it's parts of our Western Hemisphere. It says burdock is actually a popular food in Japan. You will eat the leaves and peel the stalks, and the plant either raw or boiled. So a lot of these plants, like I said, you can eat these things raw, or you could boil them. A lot of people don't boil them; they'll put them in their teas. They'll put this hemp and this herb, and they'll put it at the bottom. They'll put the hot water in there, put the tea. They'll let it steep for a little bit. Put a little bit of honey in there. Then they'll drink it up, and then they'll get the nutrients from it. Right? People do that, man. Or they'll put them in so-called dishes in restaurants where you see all of those little fancy things on the side. They be clean plants. Now, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, you don't eat them, or people don't eat them, but nevertheless, they're there. You got cattail. Now, everybody's seen these before. It's in North America. You can eat these things. So when you're hiking on a far journey and you're sojourning and you're coming across all of these things, brother, you got to remember these things, man, and study these things. The same way you go over the kings, you go over the prophecy, you go over the common knowledge. Women, they go over how to be a good wife, submissive unto their husband, loving, steadfast, doing the righteous acts of our foremothers, brothers laboring, doing all of the works. You got to also know how to survive too, man. You can't just put the Lord in this box and make him just a miracle God. Just every single time you turn around, you just want a miracle. But that would be very carnal, man. You understand? Hey, the men in the ancient world, they actually practiced and war like apparel. They practice in war. You read about that in the book of Judges, the 3rd chapter. Hey, the Lord had the Canaanites to that land for them to practice war. Meaning what? Don't just depend on the Lord just to swing a sword or to do some amazing act all the time. You have to practice. Practice makes perfect. When you enter into the kingdom, Lord willing, you're going to have to be what? Blind, lame, beat up, one ear, back broke, arms stiff. You sitting up there and you endured all of those elements, all of those conditions, all of those battles, man, all those afflictions. You understand? Nothing's going to be easy. Check this out. Known as cattails or punks, North America, and bushroots and redems in England. Let me go down. It says the rock is usually found underground. Check that out. Make sure to wash off all the mud. Best part of the steam is near to the bottom. where the plants is mainly white. Check that out. So you can eat that thing, man. You got clovers. Everybody's seen clovers, man. Everybody's seen clovers before, right? They'll say, you'll see these by so-called frogs and swamps and different things like that. You can eat those things. And they talking about some lucky you. Clovers are actually edible. Well, we're not talking about the wicked witchcraft behind the clover. Right? Can I find a four-leaf clover? Or is it just going to be the third one? I don't know. God knows. You throw the clover behind your back. Or you stomping on the clover trying to figure out where the food is, man. You just treading it underfoot, pushing it in the mud. It says this: clovers are actually edible, and they are found just about everywhere. Check that out. There's an open grassy area. Where's going to be an open grassy area at? Brother, wherever you are in the wild, man. You're going to be in the wilderness in those days. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. That's why it's very pivotal and wise to go in the scriptures and out the scriptures to further the edification and understanding what's in the scriptures. You don't want to just read Herb or just read the king of Israel did evil or this and that and not dive into the history. History is very important, linking these things up. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, and verse 17. And they shall eat up thy harvest, and thy bread, which thy sons and thy daughters should eat. And they shall eat up thy flocks, and thy herds, and they shall eat up thy vines and thy fig trees. So you're going to have vines that you can eat. And Yahushua is known as what? The true vine. Check that out, man. So you're going to have vines, fig trees, olive oils, plants. You're going to have all of these diverse things that you're tracking through the wilderness, tracking through the safari, tracking through God knows what in the back. Some warehouse that's abandoned, it's dark, trying to figure out, and then the Most High just put the spirit on you to see a little bit more clear, and then you find out that it's all of this food. And one thing about grass that's not meat is grass don't run out, man. You rarely see grass run out. Yeah, that venison that you killed and you roasted it over fire, that was gonna be good, man. Right? You're gonna eat good, man. Right? You're gonna be nice and full, but that's gonna run out. You may not see no more venison, man. Maybe you're on the lookout, right? Making venison noises, trying to put a bunch of blood on you and stick your eyes out, trying to stay still, trying to figure out where all the venison at. And it may be a dry spell, no more venison. But check that out. When you see that open field and that grass or that swamp, those things go for miles long. Those things go for essentially sometimes 200, 400, 500 feet, man. You can eat and pack these things up on your journeys and keep going. It says, and thine herbs, they shall eat up thy vines and thy fig trees. They shall impoverish thy fenced cities, wherein thou trustest with the sword. Check that out, man. Right, let me go back to it. So you got clovers. You can eat them raw, but they taste better, so-called boiled. You got Cheerio or chai kori. You ever see this? Beautiful plant. You'll find Cheerio or chai kori growing in Europe, North America. A lot of these places are in North America. And you can't say, well, where I'm at right now in North America, you know, it's the city, it's the hood, and we don't grow wildlife, man. I might just have to rob a grocery store or try to get it how I live. Well, brother, the Lord said that you're going to be a pilgrim on the earth. You never know that how you're going to travel. Hey, Yahushua, he traveled all the way to Galilee to Judea, man, on foot. You understand, doing the work of the Lord. So, I mean, from all those jurisdictions, from Galilee all the way to Samaria, all the way to Judea, I mean, he covered ground. And essentially, we're going to cover ground, man. You're not going to know where to go. You're going to go where the food is, where the safety, where the shelter is, where the life is. You understand? You're going to flee those cities a lot of the time that's going to be treading underfoot with robbers, killers, thieves, men that want to destroy you, kidnap your children, take your wife captive. It's going to be hard as hell to live in a city, man. You may think you want to live in the city, but when that city life get itchy and people are walking around looking for lost souls to grab up and put and track them down and make them slaves and bear their burdens, these things are going to happen, man. You think a man, an evil man, shall I say, a wicked evil man, he sees a woman and a child, he's not going to put them in slavery, man. Hey, you, carry my bag. Shut up. Slapping the woman around. She carrying the bag. We got 4 children just walking around. They just want somebody to follow. They don't even know what's going on. They're hungry. They don't know how to survive. Hey, carry this. Be quiet. Put this on. And everybody's going to be these people slaves, man. But let me get that precept. Let's go to it. Matter of fact, let's go to 2nd Esdras 16 and verse 33. Get to this. Salaki, bear with me. Go all the way to this. See if I can just do this. Okay, I might have to go to it. So these things are going to get real critical in the living conditions. It's the book of 2nd Esdras 13 and Salaki 16 and 33. The virgin shall mourn. What does it mean they're going to mourn? It's not talking about in that type of way. Oh, I don't have a companion. I just want to watch TV with them. I miss those days of going to the movies. No, they're going to mourn because nobody's going to protect them and lead them. Nobody's going to have their welfare to fight against them, man. Women are going to be very vulnerable in that day, man. The virgin shall mourn having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn having no husbands. That don't mean go hastily get a husband right now. That means wait upon the Most High for predestination and do the work of the Lord. But nevertheless, in those days, if the Most High is not dealing with you and you're not protected, you're going to mourn in those days. And that's not just talking about a man to fight for you. Because a lot of men have so-called instincts or knowledge, rather, that women don't care nothing about. Oh, I don't know. Put that screw in the wall. What is it? Put that little screwy thing in that little wally thing. Right? As they don't know too much about what's going on, man. Some women do. Some women take the hammer, they knock it right in. You know, she's sitting up there fixing the garbage disposal, trying to figure out how your wife know all of these different things. She got a tool belt, right? Certain women know how to do certain things, but certain women don't, man. It says their daughters shall mourn having no helpers, man. You're going to need help in those days, right? You're going to need a whole lot of help. Let's go on to it. You got chickweed. Chickweed is a clean plant. Chickweed. You got curl duck. Dock. Now, brothers have seen this before. May have not. But you got curl duck. You can find curl duck in Europe, North America, South America, and Australia. It is distinguished by a long, bright red stalk that can reach the heights of 3 feet. Check that out. You can eat the stalk raw or boiled. So one thing that has a lot of in common of these plants is you can eat them raw. You can eat a lot of these plants raw and they'll be okay. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 12th chapter. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 12. It's 2nd Esdras, chapter 12, and verse number 51. And it reads, it says, but I remained still in the field 7 days, as the angel commanded me, and did eat only in those days the flowers of the field. So you may say to yourself, man, I can't eat these flowers. That's not going to sustain me. I'm hungry. I'm used to eating cheesesteak, man. Used to eating fat fries with all type of ketchup, man. I'm used to being a fat boy. I'm used to having all the chips and all the crackers and all of the damn sweets, man, and all of the M&Ms and the Mr. Good bars and the Snickers. I don't know how I'm gonna live this life, man. Hey, well, Ezra survived, not only for 1 day, but for 7, eating the same thing. And if it be the Most High's will, you're gonna survive, man. And that's good through the spirit that you change up your diet from all these nasty processed foods that Esau has pushed everywhere we turn around. You go to your work, it's a vending machine. Buy me. Go to the so-called gas station to get some gas, it's some processed food. Buy me. You go to the so-called Giant, Safeway, Food Lion, Costco's, all of these different places where you get meat, right, and vegetables. You got candy, snacks, chips, all this processed stuff that they put whatever God knows what in it, and it seal it in that air. This make it supposed to so-called last for years. Those things are going to beat down your body and ravish them and make yourself unhealthy. These things that the Most High created, that's why our forefathers, a lot of them, other than the Most High, you understand, we're living hundreds of years. They didn't have the diets we have. They didn't eat the things that we ate. You know, right now, I mean, we're just eating poison, man. Drinking all of these energy drinks, drinking a bag of sugar, a bottle of sugar rather, and sitting up there wondering why our backs hurt and our kidneys are failing, man. And we have diabetes. It says, and had my meat of the herbs. So herbs is known as meat, man, when you go into it. Let's go to Genesis chapter 30 and verse 14. Genesis chapter 30 and verse 14. And it reads, and Reuben went in those days of the wheat harvest. So you have wheat. You can eat wheat. Let's go into it. Matter of fact, let's go into it. May run across some wheat, man. You got wheat that you can eat. Wheat grains. So there's thousands of things in the wild, man. There should really be no excuse. Unless there's a famine of the land and it's completely barren. The Most High has always made a way to feed his elect. Hey, David said, I have been young and now I'm old, and I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread, man. You're never going to be begging bread and begging to get something to eat. If it be the Most High's will, because the Most High will do what, he'll feed you. And these farmers, they're going to be killed, man. Let's be honest. They're going to be somewhere lumped over and God knows where. And people are going to be sojourning through their landfills and their crops, and they're going to be eating off the land. Right? Let me go back to it. The wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said unto Leah, give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. Now, what are mandrakes? Let's go into it. Check that out. Mandrakes. Multiple things that are right in our face that we read over. Right? Mandrake. A Mediterranean plant, because we're a Mediterranean people. Right? Of the nightshade family, with white or purple flowers, a large yellow berries. It is forked flesh roots. It's supposed to resemble a human form and was formerly wide used in medicine. Check that out. So medicine, man. Certain things that will heal you. Right on the left-hand side, a lot of Edomites use it for magic. Alleged shirking when pulled from the ground. Check that out, man. So, I mean, when you go into it, you don't got to get 1,000 pictures of it, but you got mandrakes, and they grew them. Let's go back to it. Right? Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. So you got, it says, and she said unto her, it is a small matter that thou hast taken my husband, and wouldest thou take my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, therefore, he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. So you got mandrakes. That's another thing. Right? Dandelion. We just touched on that earlier. but you also got uh, what is this called again? I forgot what this is called. But everybody in the world has seen these. Everybody and your grandmother has seen these. You used to pick them up when you was a kid and just blow them. It says, surely it's obnoxious weeds on your perfectly mowed lawn. But when you're out in the wild, this little plant can save your life. I'm going to read that again, man. Salaki, let me get that thing real quick. Let me go back to it. Surely it's an obnoxious weed. And it says it's an obnoxious weed because these things are everywhere. When you hop out your car, it's right there, man. You mowing your grass, is right there. You're on your way to work, it's right there. Your kids playing in the backyard, it's right there. It's everywhere. It says, but when you're out in the wild, this little plant can save your life. The entire plant is edible. So you can eat what? You can eat the stem of it, you can eat the roots of it, and you can eat the part that you blow. Roots, leaves, and flower. Eat the leaves while they are still young. Mature leaves taste bitter. So when you see those things and it's all young in the ground, you may have to pitch up, put it in your bag, and be on your journey. You know what a lot of these plants carry? They carry water in them. Because literally within those stems is water. A lot of these plants, they have a lot of juice in them. You know, you crop open an apple and you eat it and it's juicy. You might bite a tomato and it's nothing but juice in it, man. And you daggone sure get some grapes and it's nothing but juice coming out, man. A lot of these vegetations and these plants, they carry a large, vast amount of water, man. And you may not have drunken in days. And you may be very thirsty. And you may have to spike that and squeeze some of that stem and get something to drink, man. It says, Salaki, if you do dedicate to eat the mature leaves, boil them first to remove the bitter taste. If you run wild, you could boil a lot of these things, create remedies, whatever the case may be, and help your body to be able to sustain the elements. Boil the roots before eating as well. You can drink the water, boil the roots in as a tea, and use the flour as a garnish for your dandelion salad. Man. Check that out. So you're going to be eating a whole lot of salad in those days, man. You got to know how to move with those mandrakes and those different things, man. Let's go to the book of Judith. Let's dive into it. Let's go to Judith, the 8th chapter. It's the book of Judith, right? Chapter 8 and verse 2. And Manasseh was her husband, of her tribe and kindreds, who died in the barley harvest. So you got barley that you can eat, man. Let's go to barley. Let me get this real quick. You may ask yourself, well, what is barley? I never seen it. I never heard of it. I don't know what it is. A lot of these things, I just look right over it. It says what? Barley, a member of the grass family and a major cereal grain growing in temperature climates globally. Check that out, man. So, a lot of these things, they're in a packaged condition of Goya and all of these things, and they got their little seeds. But when you find them natural, you eat you some barley, man. Get right on up in there and figure out the matter. You don't want to be treading in the wilderness in them days and you see these things and all you use them for is resources for God knows what. You're just tying up the leaves together so you can jump rope because you miss as a woman those days of jumping rope. Why you don't want to bug out, man? Like the what's that movie? Tom Hanks, I think it was Castaway. And he made himself a friend, man. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, there you go. Castaway. He made himself a friend. Look at him. He's on the island. Look at Esau. Now, this is a little something of how Esau looked probably in the ancient world. A whole lot more hairy and a whole lot more red and a whole lot more less put together. And look at his friend, man. You don't want to be in the wilderness in them days. You paint a friend. You put your friend on a stick and you start walking around with your friend, man, getting bugged out. You want to maintain your mind on the precepts, the Most High, surviving, not becoming a wilderness man that's talking to himself. And when you watch this movie, he risked his life for this ball. I believe he was on the ocean. I watched it years ago. He was on the ocean. He was trying to get away, and the so-called ball fell God knows where, and he called his name. He made himself a name. I don't know, was it Wilford? Or something like that. And he jumps in the ocean and starts to dive for this ball, man. His mental insanity was gone. A lot of people don't start talking to themselves. And you know what happens? Satan will start playing on your mind. Start playing mind tricks on you. Start having you to say you'll never make it. Bow down. Worship me. I will appear before you right now. And these things are going to happen, man. It happened to our Lord Yahweh Shai in the wilderness. And what was the Lord doing in the wilderness? Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to Mark, the first chapter. What was around the Lord in the wilderness? Creatures. It's the book of Mark, right? Chapter 1. And I'm gonna start at verse 12. And immediately the Spirit driveth him into the wilderness. And he was there in the wilderness 40 days, tempted of the devil, and was with wild beasts. So when Yahushua was in the wilderness, he was amongst what? Wild beasts. Those wild beasts isn't going to give you a break. They're not going to say, well, you know what? I know you're on hard times. We're going to leave you alone. Now, those bears, they're going to ravage through your things. Those coyotes, those so-called Krugers, those wolves, whatever the part of the earth you're in, you're up for grabs. And don't be asleep. You got certain animals, they'll climb up trees to go to sleep because they know that certain creatures are down there hunting them. And they only could get sleep in the trees. Because if they got sleep on the ground, it's lights out. They're going to be destroyed. They're going to be eaten alive. It says, and was with the wild beasts and the angels ministering to them. And that's the spiritual part about it. Because when he was in the wilderness, he wasn't alone. And when you're in the wilderness, you're not going to be alone, man. The Lord is going to be with you, man. But you got to actually understand and believe that. Going into the next one, right? You got field pennycrease. Right? It's a weed on most parts of the world. You got fireweed. If you ever seen these before. Fireweed. They're in the northern hemisphere. Fireweed. And two, man, you also got honeysuckle berries. I don't know if honeysuckles. I don't know if brothers are from the South who ever heard about it from the South, but you got honeysuckles. Now, this literally has honey in it. Check that out. If you ever see these before and you walking down the street, you can kind of pull them. You got to check it, make sure there's no bugs in it and God knows what, but you pull it, you take it off, you pull it upside down and you take the little stem out and there's nothing but honey in it. And we used to eat these things, man, when I was a kid. Honeysuckles, man. And what's that going to do? It's going to give you something to drink. Look at the bee in it. So being agricultural with the signs and seasons, being tapped into nature, so-called, with all of the flowers, the herbs, don't just look at it as vegetation and fruit. You also have flowers and herbs. This is a large part also of what you're going to eat too. A honeysuckle. You can get in there with those. It's beautiful and good. Now, let me go back to it. Now, honeysuckles, Salaki, go to it. Check this out. In North America, approximately 180 species of honeysuckles have been identified in both continents. So there's a vast majority of these honeysuckles that you can eat when you're out there. You may see a pink one, you may see a yellow one, you may see a white one. I've got the yellow ones. So I only can tell you about the yellow and white ones. And let me see if I could get a video on it, how they was eating it. Because they'll literally pull these things back and eat them. Bear with me. All right, it says how to eat a honeysuckle. They got everything on YouTube.
Insurance, what do you want? Yeah, can we get the auto insurance?
Salaki. And look, he's in the middle of nowhere. He's just training in the wild.
Those of y'all who don't know what honeysuckle is, that's honeysuckle.
And he's a redneck, man, if I ever heard one. If they know these things, how much more the children of the light? We got to know these things.
Those of y'all who don't know what honeysuckle is, that's honeysuckle. Me and all that honeysuckle. Me and my boy Tuck come up here this afternoon to see if we can hear a turkey gobble before we came hunting in the morning. And I'm going to get Tuck to show you how to eat honeysuckle.
Look at all of that honeysuckle, man. That's a whole lot of it.
Right here. This is a deer and a lot of animal favorite food, or one of their favorite food. Show them how to eat it. Do it real slow, Tuck. You pinch that end off.
You pinching that end off, you pull out this long string, and it's going to be honey at the end of it.
Fine. You get that little stem. Watch it. Whoop. You see that little drop? Whoop. Hold on to it. That little drop right there. Alright? That's the sweet stuff. Show them how to eat it too. You take a whole, oh, you got another drop. Get it, Tuck. Now, if you had to make a living or make a meal out of that, it would be kind of tough and you'd be here a long time. But it tastes good, it's sweet. That's why it's called honeysuckle. And it grows all over the place. I know it's all over the place down.
He said it grows all over the place, man. It's growing everywhere. So you got to get you a machete, chop down. You want to wild. You want to have dinner. You don't know what to do. You know, what should I eat? What should I eat? I don't know what to do. Get you some honeysuckle. You may have you like a little cup. If you have one of those days, maybe a bottle. May pull out a damn 100 of them. Right? God knows what, how many. You eat the flour, and then you drink the syrup. And you'll be okay, man. It's going to be a lot of work. When you build shelter, it's not going to be easy. You're not just going to take wood, you bang in the wood, put this wood over there, you put that over there, you just scratch that, and you're going to be everything's going to be okay. No, it takes a long time shaping up wood, sticking it in the ground, getting a foundation, laying the sides. All of this is going to take time, man. Right? Let me go to another one. You got green. Well, we're not eating that, right? No seaweed. Right? But you also got what? Plantain. Got plantain. You got prickly pear cactus. Now, all of these different things, you must make sure that they have stems. You have to make sure that they bear seed. So when you checking these things, you should already know, okay, well, a seed was planted for this vegetation to grow. And of them, the Lord has said in the book of Genesis 1 and 29 through the Spirit that these are the things we can eat. Check that out. Found in the desert of North America. The prickly pear cactus is very tasty and nutritious plant that can help you survive the next time you're stranded in the desert. Right? Let me get this real fast. Which cactus can you drink water from? So you have water that comes from these different things. It's a lot of surviving tactics, man. Growing right from the earth. You got to get in this thing and learn how to survive, man. Don't think, well, it doesn't pertain to me right now. I don't think I'm gonna need these things. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Right? Porcelain, sheep, squirrel, Salaki for the pronunciation, white mustard. Right? Let me get a precept. Let me go to the book of Judith, chapter 2, and verse 27. And it reads, it says, then he went down into the plain of Damascus in the time of the wheat harvest, and burned up all the fields and destroyed the flocks and herds. Also, he spoiled their cities, utterly wasted their countries, and smote all their young men with the edge of the sword. So you got wheat harvests, you got barley harvests, right? You got mandrakes, you got flowers and herbs. We read about all of that in the scriptures. Let's go to 2 Samuel 16. And let's start at verse number 2. It says, and the king said unto Ziba, what meanest thou by these? And Ziba said, the asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and the summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. So, I mean, you got berries of wine, and you also got summer fruit that they which be weary in the wilderness may drink, man. You may be faint and weary in the wilderness. Now, don't think these things is going to happen to you, man. They was getting faint in the ancient world. Why? Because of the sun, the terrain, the climates. You're going to be going up hills, down hills. Hey, man, you may walk so-called in your so-called neighborhood all the way to the nearest store and may be out of breath. Just walking. But you're going to have to walk miles and miles and miles trying to figure out where you're going to eat. When you finally do eat, you're going to devour. But you got to know what to devour. And your mind may wax faint. You may start looking at unclean animals. You may start looking at all type of squirrels and rabbits and frogs, no matter where you are in the world. And don't let your flesh get weary and weak, man. And you say, before I faint in the wilderness, let me just eat. Let me stop being over righteous. No, that's the spiritual demon Satan trying to sift out your mind and have you to do God knows what, man. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 17. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 17. I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, yet gleaning grapes shall be left in it, as the shaking of an olive tree. 2 or 3 berries in the top of the utmost bowls. So we just read about the berries. You got elderberries. You got also other type of berries. We want to see if it's any left. You got wood, octulus, salaki. So this is just a brief synopsis of a couple of them. But also in the scriptures, you got certain things that are poisonous that you can't eat, man. And we're going to touch on a while of things that you can't eat. And in the scriptures, you got things that are poisonous. But before we go into that, let me finish this precept. It says, gleaten ears, salaki, gleaten grapes shall be left in it as the shaking of an olive tree. 2 or 3 berries in the top of the utmost boughs, 4 or 5 in the utmost fruitful branches thereof, saith the Lord, God of Israel. Check that out, man. So the Lord is going to have things for you to eat: olive trees, berries, fruits, vegetables, herbs, grass. You know, we got to take advantage of these things. Let's go to the book of 2 Kings, the 4th chapter. I believe that's what I want. So lock it, bro, with me. Let's go to the book of 2 Kings, right? Chapter 4 and verse 38. Before we get that, let's go, right, to the 7 of the world's deadliest plants. So you may start scratching your beard and start smiling like there's an innumerable amount of green things you can eat. And I can't go wrong. Let me just pick. Well, brother, you can go wrong. One round grab, it could be like soap, man. You got the deadly nightshade. Now this thing looks just like everything else in the wild, damn near, man. So this thing will kill you. Or poison you, rather. You got the white snake root. Was the responsible for the death of Abraham Lincoln's mother. So the so-called plant killed Abraham Lincoln's mother. That's what they say, right? Nancy Hunks. White snake root is North America herb with flat top clusters of small white flowers containing toxic alcohol known as Timarel. Check that out, man. Let's get a good look at this. Let's get a real good look at this. Because one wrong bite of the wrong herb, it could be like so too, man. Let me see if I can get a close up to this too. So this is deadly. Brothers know about the main thing. You know, Jake just know about poison ivy. Jake could tell you poison ivy a mile away. No, that's poison ivy. We're not going over there. They somehow tap into a damn scientist, man. There's some type of wildlife specialist with poison ivy. Don't touch that. Don't go there. That's poison ivy. But these other more poisonous things than poison ivy. You got castor bean. Castor bean. Check that out. Wildly grows as an ornamental, as a castor bean is attractive plant native to Africa. It only takes 1 or 2 seeds to kill a child up to 8 and kill an adult. So it may only take 2 of them little teeny seeds to kill you, man. Sitting up there getting faint in the wilderness trying to figure out, is that a raccoon or a person? And the next thing you know, man, your heart starts beating and pulsating out your chest. And your last words, only you would know, man. And you give up the ghost. You got Rosa P. Now this looks poisonous, just looking at it. This just looks poisonous. It says also, Jepquari beans. These previously named seeds contain aberrant, extremely deadly, rosum inhabited protein. Check that out, man. It said it only takes 3 micrograms of aberrant to kill an adult. So very, very small quantities of these very, very deadly plants. Right? And these are very deadly plants. It's not something that's going to make your stomach hurt, man. It's not something that's going to send you to the hospital. This is something that's going to kill you. Described by Planley and Elder in ancient Rome. This beautiful plant for its striking flowers, though commonly grown in the hedge of an ornament, all parts. Check this out. If eaten, can cause vomiting, diarrhea, atraxive pulse, seizures, coma, and death. You can have a seizure in the wilderness, man. Diarrhea in the wilderness, you vomiting, all at the same time. Heart pulsating, beating out your chest, skipping 3 or 4 beats like you drunk 19 Red Bulls, man. And contact with leaves and the sap is known as the skin irritation in some people. So make your skin break out. Indeed, the toxins in Ulladur are as strong as people have become ill after eating honey made by bees visited flowers. Check that out. Tobacco. His brothers already know that, man. Tobacco will kill you. And tobacco's a plant. You know? And they make other things with tobacco leaves. Let's just say that. We're not going to get into how deep that may be. But nevertheless, these are certain things that you should not eat if found in the wild. This beautiful plant is also toxic. Could remind you, of a snare and a trap by a woman, a wicked woman. May be beautiful, but it draw you in. As soon as you bite out thereof, you die. Let's go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 4 and verse 38. And Elisha came again to Galil, and there was dearth in the land. Meaning what? It was a drought. All hell was breaking loose. And the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, set on a great pot and seethe pottage for the sons of the prophets. Now it says seethe pottage. Let's go into that word. Let me get this quick. Etymology. That word pottage. Seethe mean put it in a pot and cut the water on and seethe it up, right? It says what? Boiled food, soup, pottage, or sudden or boiled. And that's what your grandma do. She'll put this leaf in, she'll put that leaf in, she'll mix it on up, put salt, pepper, oregano, God knows what else, a little bit of her foot, sticking it down in the bottom of it just to get the flavor, stir it up with that big wooden spoon, and now it's time for dinner. But in the ancient world, right, there was settling for the sons of the prophets. And one went out of the field and gathered herbs. So that was an ancient thing back in the day to gather herbs for a meal. For soup, you understand? For soup, for vegetables. Check that out. For what they call them, salads. And they would get all of these things and gather up in the field the herbs. And found a wild vine and gathered thereof wild gourds his lap full. So we got a lap full of these wild vines. And came and shred them into the pottage, the pot of pottage. For they knew them not. Let me read that again. They knew them not. Meaning whoever gathered up these vines, they didn't foresee that they were poisonous vines. They didn't say, well, it's just vines. They just gather them all up. Because that was an ancient thing to get the herbs, man. You grab this flower, this herb, this, that, this, that, this, that. Let's put the flavor and seasoning in. They didn't have a curry seasoning that you go get from the store, man. And have all of these seasons that you just buy off the shelf and you shake them 9 times, man. You shake them 4 or 5 times. You put it in a pot and you season it on up. You add wild salt. You add wild pepper. You add wild seasonings, and they would throw these things in because that's what our forefathers do, man. They like to get down and get that seasoning and eat good. But they didn't know what they put was poisonous in. So they poured out for the men to eat, meaning a pottage, and it came to pass as when they would slakia, came to pass as they were eating of the pottage, they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot, and they could not eat thereof. Meaning they couldn't eat the herbs that was in this pot, man. Every herb the Lord created isn't for you to eat. You have poisonous herbs, you have healing herbs, you have herbs of medicine, you have different things you understand that the Most High has created. But don't grab every berry, every fruit, and everything to feel like or understand rather that is for your well-being and to build you up and take care of you and for your organs and to heal you, man. It said, well, it is death in the pot, and they could not eat thereof. So they couldn't eat these things, man. Let me go to the book, A Song of Solomon. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 43. Let me get a couple more and close out. Genesis chapter 43. So we cover what? Herbs. We cover flowers, fruits, vegetables, olive trees, poisonous herbs. Also, you have, let's go to it. Genesis 23 and 11. And Israel, Salakia, and their father Israel said unto them, if it must be so now, do this. Take of the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down a man a present, a little balm, a little honey, spices, myrrh, nuts, and almonds. Don't forget about the wild nuts and the almonds, man. And the wild balm and the wild honey. These are all of the things that are in the wild that you can eat. Let's go into it. You got wild nuts, right? Check that out. Wild nuts. Berries, wild berries. So let me get this quick. Ten nuts and fruits to enjoy in the wild. Woodland nuts. Look at you right there. Boom. Tracking through. It's all the way up top. You're sitting up there. I can't get to it, brother. Get to it, man. You better sling whatever you got you carrying. You better knock that tree down, man. You better get to these wild, these woodland nuts, man. Got walnuts. And they all look different. They're not always gonna come in that damn trail mix bag that you like so much. With all of the raisins. You got the light raisin, the dark raisin, you got this type of raisin, and all the little raisins and peanuts. You got pecans. They're gonna be in the wild. The hickle tree. It says the pig nut variety that it has a thin shell but a bitter taste. Many varieties of the hickory nuts have a large great taste and are easy to harvest. Although they go 3-year cycles, not many yield a bumper crop. So you may see this and feel like, oh, it's black, it's poisonous. I don't know what it is. You're gonna see so much food in the world, but you gotta perceive with a willing mind and understanding that you can actually eat it and it's for you. Check that out. I mean, a lot of these places, the mailman, he sees this daily, right? You may go jogging, so called, on a walk, or to the park and see a lot of these trees and things that we're going into right now. These are a lot of precepts that you can go to for the understanding. Lord willing, this was edifying through the spirit. You understand that you got these accounts and you watched them and you read them down. May have to travel and look at this video all over again, whatever the case may be. Right, I'm gonna pull this last precept and get ready to close out. Matter of fact, let's go to Ecclesiastes, the second chapter. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 5. It says this: I made me gardens and orchards. So King Solomon, when he had his kingdom, he had gardens, orchards. I planted trees in them of all kind of fruits. I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also, I had great possessions of great small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. Check that out. So Solomon, he had a vast garden with different types of orchards and plants and trees and things. I mean, Solomon could have made himself a smoothie, man. Coconuts. God knows what else he had in his vast kingdom. So, I mean, we did a lot of husbandry in the ancient world. And we got to get back to that. Not necessarily planting and harvesting, but rather sojourning and getting those things that we used to eat before. All the wild berries, the fruits, the nuts, the olives, the herbs, the flowers, the vegetation, all of these different things are yielding and going to be growing in the last days. And we got to take advantage of it. Let me get this closing precept. Let me go to the book of Revelation, chapter 3. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 2. It says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. So you have to be watchful and strengthen what remains. Whatever remains in your vessel and your mind, strengthen that up to be well aware what you need to do to be strong as a man and woman of the Lord. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So if you're not reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, doing everything you do to magnify the name of the Lord is going to visit you like a thief in the night, man. He's going to blow your candlestick out because you haven't been reading, you wasn't giving alms, you wasn't doing the work of the Lord, and you damn sure wasn't making your body living sacrifice. So continue to gird up your loins as men and women in this truth. Make your body living sacrifice. Continue to read, pray, and fast. Hold yourself accountable and examine yourself in the last days. So with that, I'm going to close out giving all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Shalom.